So Book of Mormon quiz. In the Book of Mormon, don't look at this yet, I'm going to hide this from you. There is a statement in the Book of Mormon that says that the pride, this kind of pride that we're looking at, that there's actually a sin that is a worse sin than this kind of pride. Can either of you think of what sin it would be that is a worse sin than this kind of pride?
Adultery?
Oh, I was going to say murder.
Murder? Yeah, probably murder.
Okay, well, that might be. It might be there are places that state that. What I'm thinking of is this passage right here. And this is in Jacob chapter 2. And it says this: I make an end of speaking unto you concerning this pride. So he's been dealing with their pride. And he says, I'm going to make an end of that. And were it not that I must speak unto you concerning a grosser crime, my heart would rejoice exceedingly. For behold, thus saith the Lord, this people begin to wax in iniquity, for they seek to excuse themselves in committing whoredoms. David and Solomon truly had many wives and concubines, which thing is abominable before me. Wherefore I, the Lord, will not suffer that this people shall do like unto them of old. My brethren, hearken to the word of the Lord, for there shall not any man among you, save it be have it be one wife, and concubines he shall have none. For I, the Lord, delight in the chastity of women, and whoredoms are an abomination before me. Right. So this sin, whatever it has to do with the idea of polygamy, is a worse sin, a worse crime in Jacob's mind than the sin of pride.
Okay.
So do you think that there are sins that could be committed within polygamy that would be worse than pride? What do you think could happen within polygamy that would be worse than pride? Have any ideas? Okay, let me share with you something, and this might be something you might also not know, okay? Joseph Smith, he actually married 34 wives. There's documentation that Joseph Smith married 34 wives. It's found in a book called In Sacred Loneliness by Todd Compton. And in these 34 marriages that he entered into, there's some really interesting facts that surround those. One of it is that he married 10 teenage girls. He married 2 14-year-old girls, two 16-year-old girls. You think that would be okay for a prophet of God to marry like 10 teenagers?
Where's this?
It's in a book called In Sacred Loneliness by Todd Compton. I'm going to let you have this so you can go home and look this up for yourself. So you can take this and go buy the book yourself. You can buy it at any LDS bookstore.
But back in that time, people got married younger.
Okay, so personally for me, if Joseph Smith married one girl that was a 14-year-old girl and she was his wife, I probably wouldn't have much to say about that. You know, that can happen, right? But marrying 10 of them, I mean, you realize that Warren Jeffs is in prison today because of marrying young girls like this. That's why he's in prison. And it's not okay with me. Either of you have a 14-year-old daughter? Or
I actually do. She's a freshman.
Would you be okay with, say, Thomas S. Monson marrying your daughter? Would that be okay with you?
Well, that's offensive.
Oh, I agree. That is offensive. No, let me ask you another question.
I mean, to speak of the modern-day prophet in those terms,
Well,
that he wouldn't do that.
Well, that's what Joseph Smith did. So I'm just likening it to Joseph Smith because he was a prophet of the church, right? And he married young girls like this. So what would be the difference? Another question. Did you know that Joseph Smith married a mother and a daughter set? He married Patty and Sylvia Sessions, both of them, mother and daughter. And according to the book of Leviticus, chapter 18, verses 17 and 18, that's against God's law.
And this information's in this same book
It's
that
in
you're
this
talking
book,
about?
yes.
And what validates this book? I mean,
He's an LDS historian. He's in good standing with the Mormon Church. You can buy it in the Deseret bookstores. Well, I'm not talking about some anti-Mormon guy that's trying to make Joseph Smith look bad. He's documenting the history of your church. He also says that he married 5 sets of sisters, which is also condemned in Leviticus chapter 18. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to reveal to you some of your history of your church that you may not know. I mean, did you guys know those things?
no.
Okay? And I'm trying to help you to understand that Jesus warned us that in the last days, many prophets would come who would make claims that weren't true. And we are to judge a prophet by their fruits. Now, these are the fruits of Joseph Smith. He boasted that he had done a greater work than Jesus. He boasted, I mean, he married women who were young girls, mothers, daughters, sisters. And do you know also in this book by Todd Compton, he records 11 women that he married who were married women. They had husbands when he married them, and they stayed with their living husband while they were married to Joseph Smith.
Wait. You're saying that these other women that he married, their husbands were still alive?
They were still alive, they were still married, and they stayed with those women, or with those men, while they were still married to Joseph Smith.
This is a book that we can buy?
You can buy it, absolutely. And so I would like for you to just check this stuff out. Like you said earlier, you don't know me. So who am I? I don't. You don't know me from the man on the moon, but I think you ought to take this stuff, check it out for yourself, and find out if it's true. I mean, I showed you the quote in here. I'm not trying to hide anything. And so take it and check it out. If Joseph Smith is not a true prophet, then there's something else you should believe, something else you should do. And I want you to understand, I'm a believer in Jesus. I follow Jesus Christ with all of my heart. And that's all I would encourage you to do, is instead of following men who say they follow Jesus, why don't you just follow Jesus instead? Go to the scriptures, go to the Gospels, read the story of Jesus, and believe what Jesus taught. Good enough? We take that and check it out?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Great to talk to you guys.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you.
Yeah,
too.
So thank you. Yep.
Thank you for
nice
the
to meet you.
information. You too.